Don't look for more, pay. Don't whatever your thing is, just do it really, really great. People are going to take notice.
Hey, everybody. We're talking to Andrew Wittman today. What an amazing guy. He is a former Marine, police officer, federal agent turned resilience coach, the creator of the Inner Armor Resilience System, the author of Inner Armor Perpetual Resilience. He's protected world leaders like Nancy Pelosi and trained elite warriors, has some incredible stories of staying mission ready under pressure, building mental toughness, and leading through chaos. He's a great new friend of mine. You don't want to miss this incredible conversation.
Welcome to The Last 10%. Your host, Dallas Burnett, dives into incredible conversations that will inspire you to finish well and finish strong. Listen as guests share their journeys and valuable advice on living in the last 10%. If you are a leader, a coach, a business owner, or someone looking to level up, you are in the right place. Remember, you can give 90% effort and make it a long way, but it's finding out how to unlock the last 10% that makes all the difference in your life, your relationships, and your work. Now, here's Dallas.
Welcome. I am Dallas Burnett, sitting in my 1905 Koch brothers barber chair in Thrive Studios. But more importantly, today we have a great guest. He's a Marine Corps combat veteran, former federal agent, has a PhD in theological psychology. Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about that. I'm not even sure what that is. Who's protected heads of state like Hillary Clinton, Benjamin Netanyahu. He's trained Navy SEALs and Special Forces. Now he equips leaders, teaches teams how to thrive in high-stress environments with his new Inner Armor system. He's a world-class expert in resilience and high-stakes performance. He's going to share some tools with us today. So welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thanks, Dallas, for having me. I got to get me one of them chairs, man. That thing is awesome.
Everyone needs a chair.
Yeah, a Coke chair from 19. Barber chair. I need that. I'm like, that's so cool. Right. What a flex, bro.
Yeah. We had this special reveal in the episode. I don't know what it was, episode 50 or something, but I saw this one back in former life. I was in music, was writing songs, going to Nashville all the time, and got hooked up with Charlie Daniels. And so they had us out to his studio, and we walked in, and he wasn't even there. He was out on the road, and his manager takes us into the studio. It's all empty, but I'm like looking around, like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. It's just like in the backyard, and like some barn in the back of this, farm. Right. And it's like we walk in, and they had this massive board, and just like what you'd think. And then I turn around in the back of the room. There's this big barber chair sitting there, huge barber chair. And I was like, hey, is that where are they here for so many days just living in the studio? They got to have a barber chair. They just bring the barber in and cut everybody's hair. They're like, no, dude, they don't do that. That's Charlie Daniels' chair. And I was like, oh, if he's got a chair like that in his studio, he sits in, I got to give him one of those.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons we do that.
That is so awesome. And of course, you just reminded me of that. Jack, my son, was young. He said, now, is Charlie Daniels and Jack Daniels, are they brothers? I said, no, but I think they're closely related.
Would not surprise me. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, man, I'm excited about this conversation today because you've just had such amazing, just incredible experiences. You gone all over the world, training all these things. I just want to get into that. But I want to kind of jump back a little bit before we get there. Tell us a little bit about your story. Like, what's your history? Where'd you come from? And how did you get into becoming this big time, resilience coach, military, special agent, all this stuff? Give us a little background.
Yeah. So my mom and daddy were missionaries, and I went to high school in a town called Wagga Wagga, New South Wales in Australia. And there was 4 Americans in the town. 2 were my parents. One was my younger brother, and the other was me. And they didn't have anything back then. Where it was in the 80s, and there was not a Pizza Hut, McDonald's, nothing, right? So, we were a strange oddity. But I was the fat kid in high school, and of course the Australians, they love nicknames. They called me Beach Ball because I was 5'3" and 185 pounds. And, and I got bullied a lot, right? Because I wasn't allowed to fight back. So, and then, I'd cry and, all this stuff, it was missionaries kids. Anyway, and then I would turn to food for comfort, which would make me even a bigger target for the bullies. But I met 2 guys there, and they got me, they took me under their wing and introduced me to the military, right? So when I left the mission field, I was supposed to go to Bible college, and my choices were Bob Jones or Liberty at that time, because that's who was given a scholarship to the missionaries. And I was like, I'm a fat kid, and I live in fear and anxiety. I'm going to enlist in the Marine Corps. So that's what I did. I was like, that was like, my parents were like, what? I don't think so, so I went down to the recruiter's office, and I sat there for like 4 hours because he's out doing stuff. And the Navy recruiter's like, hey, you want to come over here, fat kid? We got great for you, great food. The Navy. I'm like, no, I want to be a Marine. So I signed up, and I made in my contract that I would be in the infantry. And I asked him, and he's like, are you sure you need your charts or your test scores are like air traffic controller? And I'm like, avionics. I'm like, dude, I don't want to do electronics. I would have went to Lincoln Technical Institute for that. You know what I mean? I want to roll in the mud and blow stuff up, dude. So I went to boot camp, and I lost 50 pounds in boot camp. And yeah, so that was the beginning of my obsession for mental toughness or resilience. I had to get my physical cylinder under control. And then so I learned that from the Marine Corps. I spent 6 years in the Corps. I was in Desert Storm.
Do you feel like that was? Yeah. You feel like that was one of the motivations to go into the military, to get in shape and to feel like get that self-esteem?
100%.
Maybe you
100%. Man, I did not want to be like, I did not want to live my life in fear and anxiety, and that life was always pushing me around like these bulls, and I had no way to fight back or to take control of anything. So I'm like a control freak, right? Anything that I can control, I will. But then I found out the only thing I actually can control is my response to anything. It's like I can't control anything external or other people. I have to control me. So that's kind of the journey, right? So, but it started there because I wanted to take control of my not being the fat kid and being scared.
Yeah, I gotta know though. I mean, your mom and dad's in Australia. I mean, are they like, dude, what are you? I mean, were they supported?
No,
or did they kind of have to wrestle with that a little bit?
Yeah, no, they wrestled a lot with it because my mom and dad were I say Bob Jones Baptist, but they're all independent, right? It's not like the Southern Baptist, right? So very fundamentalist, and really they were like, I don't want to say that they were saying I was going to hell, but that's what they said if you join the military, because we don't do that. I mean, they don't even vote. They don't do, you know what I mean? Like we don't do any of those things. Yeah, one of those. So it's okay. We all made, I mean, it was a great deal. It was at the time. And so, I made this decision before I was 18. I tried to, enlist in, and so the embassy in Canberra drove whatever the 3.5 hours to the outback in Wagga Wagga to try and get my parents to sign the consent form. And they're like, we ain't signing that, like, no, get out of here. So I had to wait till my 18th birthday before I did it. So I was going against the grain, but I mean, there was restoration with my mom and dad. No, that's one of the things that I prayed for when I was like 18 or 19. Even when you get 20, you realize your parents were actually smarter than you gave them credit for. I'm like, wait, they knew what they were doing, and this, honestly, because my dad was a strict disciplinarian, we were fundamentalists. Boot camp was like vacation. I mean, the drill sergeant yelled at me. I'm like, that's easy. I got this. So I rose to the top very quickly in that Marine Corps discipline society. So shout out.
This feels like home.
Oh man, I'm like, this is easier than home. I mean, bro.
That's so funny. I've never heard that. Boot camp was like a vacation.
Thanks.
That's great. So you go through, you're in the Marines and you're there for a while, and then you transition. What does that look like?
Yeah. So I get through I did 6 years, and I did Desert Storm, and I was in combat during the Panama thing. I did 5 deployments in 6 years in the infantry. Right. I also did counterterrorism in the Philippines, counterterrorism in Honduras, and so I got married along the way, right? And I wanted to be with my bride, and we got tired of being gone all the time from each other. Like, she's like, I don't get married for you to deploy every 10 minutes. So I'm like, we're just separated constantly. So I was like, all right, this is not the life for me. So I got out, and I did go to Bible college, right? So then I went, and I was like, I'm not ready for the ministry thing. You know what I mean? Like I was a little too not high speed. I mean, I'm not saying I'm addicted to adrenaline or whatever, but so anyway.
Well, after you go from getting bullets shot at you and counterterrorism, I could see.
So what I did was right. So anyway, so I started my law enforcement career there in Spartanburg County. Right, I became a sheriff's deputy in Spartanburg County.
Oh my
gosh, in 1997. Yeah, and awesome. Chuck Wright was like, he was on a traffic unit at the time, and we both had the same sergeant, Sergeant John Lyles, and I was just a rookie, and he was the experienced traffic veteran. Everybody wanted to be Chuck because he had the unmarked car, and it was and then it was great watching him become. I think he's retired now or something, but he had a really great run, and what a great dude. So that was how I started my law enforcement career at Spartanburg County.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is really neat. So then you go from law enforcement into this.
Well, I became a federal agent because here's what happened. Right? Here's what had happened was. My wife became pregnant with our first, and she says, "Baby, I want to be a stay-at-home mom." I'm like, "I'm all about that, but you're making 65% of our income," because at the sheriff at the time, I was making $7.41 an hour, like literally no overtime. It was $21,000. And I'm like,
Oh,
"We cannot make it on that, baby," right?
man.
So I just put in all my federal applications to every ABC. I took every test, the marshals, the DEA, the Secret Service.
Wow.
So the one who called me was U.S. Capitol Police, which I rarely never even heard of, but I found out that they do the same thing the Secret Service does. They just do it for the House and the Senate. And then, so of course, the ones that ask you to the dance, that's who you go with. So I moved to DC, became a Capitol Police officer, spent about 3 years in uniform, and then got a chance to become an agent. And I went through agent training with the Diplomatic Security Service at the time. I was the last class that went through Diplomatic Security Service with the State Department for Capitol Police before they had their own. So I was a State Department trained agent. That was right before 9/11. It was like April of 2001, and then 9/11 happened, and like they just immediately pulled me over to do protective work, and that's where we got into that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So what was it like? I mean, you go from kind of a local sheriff type role in the deep South to DC protecting like heads of state. Was that a very difficult transition, or was it like, oh, this is what I'm made to do?
It was difficult when I went into uniform up there because it's a lot of like, so in South Carolina, we're the Right Now police, right? My zone, I had Greer, Lyman, Welford, Duncan, Reedville, right? It was 150 square miles, and there's only 2 deputies on any given time covering that entire thing. So my backup's half an hour away. So when you're showing up to domestic violence or whatever it is, it's you, right? I mean, your guys so it's high adrenaline, I mean, it's very dangerous. It's my kids always they say that's when I learned how to lie, was at the sheriff's office. It's not lying, it's de-escalating. No, we're not arresting anybody. I just need you to put these handcuffs on it's just for your safety and mine. I just need you to get in the car. We're not going anywhere. I just don't want the neighbors seeing you in the street. Next thing you know, it's a half an hour later, we're at Sallyport up at the jail.
I love that. Right. It's so funny. That's so true.
Right. So
I can totally see it. De-escalation. Right. No, we're not going to jail.
De-escalation. So
yeah, right.
Yeah. So we did all that, and then I get to Capitol Police, and I'm in uniform, and I'm like, I'm standing here at this stairwell, making sure a terrorist doesn't walk in for 16 hours a day, watching the paint change color from beige to ecru. You know what I mean?
Man.
And I was miserable.
Oh man.
At the sheriff's office, I think because you count your stats would be like, I made like 356 arrests in the last 6 months I was there. Dudes would go their whole career at Capitol Police and barely make 3 arrests. You know what I mean? Because it's a different mission. So once I got out of uniform and I went to the agent side, then it's crazy because now my jurisdiction is all the U.S. states and its territories. And now I'm on a protective detail and the U.S. title code. Now, see, we have the same authority that the Secret Service does in their protective detail. It's code 18 or whatever, right? The separation of powers, right? I'm Article 3. I have the same power as Article 2. An interesting thing about Capitol Police, they're the only legislative branch law enforcement. I mean, that's like the original deep state, right? The Congress has their own. They're not subject to anybody but Congress.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Right.
I had no idea.
They're the Secret Service agents because they're like, yeah, we're the Secret Service. I'm like, yeah, but I get overtime pay. So I'm on plumber's pay by 2:30 in the afternoon, and you guys are on law enforcement availability pay, which is 25% of your base. I capped out at whatever the speaker made, right? So it's one of the best kept secrets. I just let it out, that they pay their agents time and a half, not they pay them hourly and not on a salary. And then we give you 25% to be at our beck and call. So, it was great.
Wow.
Great.
Oh, wow. And so you would just essentially travel with members of Congress, offering that protection and planning that out. That's kind of what your role was.
Yeah. So doing the advance. When I first started out, I got in, they pulled me off a midnight post. This special agent in charge saw me standing post on midnights after 9/11. It was like not even 3 days after 9/11. We didn't leave the Hill for, I don't know, a week, right? So I'm out on post at midnight. We're sleeping in the locker room. And he just slams on the brakes of this thing and he gets out. He's like, Whit, what are you doing here? I'm like, this is what I'm my job. I'm on my post. He's like, nope. He called the watch commander, had me relieved. He said, it's already 2 a.m. Be back here in a suit and tie at 7 a.m. for roll call over at I'm like, okay. And so that morning, I'm like, all right, we're in it now, and that's how it started. And then they put me with Hillary Clinton for the first couple of weeks. So I don't know if you remember this, but it was like right after they left the White House. It's 2001. Bush is new. She's a new senator, right? But she was a first lady.
Yes.
So she still has Secret Service protection as a first lady. But Now
Oh,
she's a sitting
man.
senator, right? So she can't be on the. So we also have jurisdiction. So she's got two details. She's got the Secret Service and then Capitol Police. So I was the officer. Whenever she's on the Hill, Capitol Police agent had to be with them.
Oh my goodness. So you're literally working with her Secret Service. That's
Correct.
because she's first lady.
Right.
And how does that? Do you guys get along? Hey man, what's up?
Oh,
It's all
no,
good.
they were
Or is
great.
there like,
No, they were great.
Oh,
I
they were
love those guys. They were so funny. Man.
oh, good.
And so I'm with Hillary, and of course, so we're on the Hill. I'm a guy that will not be ignored. Do you know what I'm saying, Dallas? Like,
Right,
you can tell me,
right.
right? So even when I'm in uniform, like a senator would, like Senator Kennedy, Ted Kennedy would come in every morning, and I would be like, "Hey, Senator, what's going on, Senator?" Every morning, he's going to see me in uniform, right? And he would not even acknowledge I existed, dude. He'd just walk grumbling. Now I know he's shot in the back, so he's in pain and everything, but I'm like, you know what? Do not ignore Andrew. So every day I would find, I would watch him, and every day that I would go tell him good morning. I would go find whatever door that he came in, got out of his car. I'm there. Like, so every day there I am.
Wow.
So after about 6 months of this, he finally just stops and he turns around and he looks at me. He's like, "What is your name?" I was like, "Good morning, Senator. I'm Andrew." He's Andrew what? Andrew Wittman. He's like, okay. So then after that, he would always tell me hi.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
6 months of
yeah,
telling
6
him,
months.
hey,
I'm like, I'm not furniture, man. You're not going to ignore me, right? I'm here. I'll put my life on the line for you. So that's what. So
Oh
I'm with
my
Hillary. I'm
gosh.
not going to be ignored, right? I'm not just furniture. So
Sure.
I have the conversation with, "Hey, I'm Andrew, blah blah blah," and because I'm at the Capitol and I've been there for 3 years in uniform, I know all the tunnels.
Oh wow.
So if she doesn't want to get she doesn't want to get hit by the press. We got to. I'm like, "Oh, no problem. I get you to your car. No one will ever know you even left the building." She's like, "What? Secret Service don't know that. They know the White House. They don't know the Capitol." So I would take her around. So after 3 weeks, her Secret Service detail would be like, "Man, I've been on her detail for 3 years. She still calls me driver. You're here for 3 weeks, and it's Andrew this and Andrew that." So it's the beginning of my people whispering career, my wife calls it.
Yeah, that's awesome. But you're valuable at that point because now you know the way.
That's the thing. You got to
can get
solve
where
their
she needs to
problems,
be.
even the ones they didn't even know they had, and you solve them in a way that always helps. So this is the beginning of what I was managing up, or it is really mental toughness, right? This is not what I want. It's what the target is. What is it that they want? What's the problem I need to solve for them? Now I'm valuable, and not only valuable, I become I'm like indispensable. If I'm not there, they're not. They're uncomfortable. I'm like Linus with the blanket, right? The blanket's gone.
Yes.
So I did that for her for 3 weeks, and then the anthrax crisis hit, and
Yes,
we
I
went
remember
right.
that.
We got
My
through
God.
that, and then they put me, and I bounced around and did some stuff with Gephardt and a couple of until they trained me. I had to do went to 9/11 to Ground Zero with Gephardt, and I had to learn the advance in New York. My dad pastored a church in New York when I was in 5th grade, right? 77. So I knew I don't know. I mean, it's just like, God bringing it back to your memory, but I knew my way around New York,
Yeah.
downtown Manhattan and midtown Manhattan. Well, I'm 5th grade. What do I know? But I know better than anybody else all of a sudden. So now I'm the guy.
Wow.
And that kind of marked me as, all right, he's ready to travel because he got our butt out of the fire in New York. And then they put me with Joe Lieberman.
Wow.
So now I'm his lead advance. So when I'm a Lieberman's detail, my job is to go everywhere he's going to go. I have to get on the ground before him and totally advance everything out. Now the Secret Service has a team of like 10 dudes in advance offices all over. I'm one guy, Capitol Police. I have to advance every hotel, every route, every restaurant, every venue, the hospital. I need emergency dental, all these things that go into it, right? So it made me very good at it because you had to wear all the hats. Like in the Secret Service, it'd be like one guy that just does the hotels. He could spend like 10 years just doing the hotels.
Just doing hotels.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. You've got to do it all. You've got to be the jack of all trades. You got to know everything.
So it helps you to be at the lower, I want to say that's the minor leagues, but that's how they looked at us at Capitol Police. Capitol Police is probably getting a pretty good name now, though, after there was the shooting with Steve Scalise, right? That kind of put them on the map. Then there was the January 6th stuff. They have a little more well-known than they were back in the day. It's a great agency, though, because we have anything that you want to do in law enforcement, you could do it at Capitol Police. I'm not trying to recruit for them, but if you wanted to get into federal, that would be the place I would start. Because you really can write your own ticket, and there's still tons of opportunity. You just got to be willing to move to DC.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and the connections of the network. I mean, the people that you're around every day.
Every day.
I know that there's things that you can't share, but just being in the room.
I'm telling you, I tell my mentors, right? I learned how to do people with my political mentors or my political, but you're in the room with the best military minds, the best. So Ted Kennedy. Here's the spinoff of Ted Kennedy. So that happened. Ted Kennedy. When I was a rookie officer, fast forward 4 years, Elton John's coming to the Hill for his AIDS thing. Hey, Ted Kennedy is sponsoring him. Ted Kennedy says Andrew will be doing Elton John's protective detail.
What?
So I'm the guy. They call me out and they're like, "Oh, Senator Kennedy. Oh, Senator Kennedy wants you." Because see, this is what I'm talking about. I'm telling him hi, and every time I'm talking. 4 years later, I need Andrew to do Elton John. So I'm with Elton John all day, and I do what I do for everybody else. I'm parking his car where it needs to be parked. Everything. I'm running it like he's like the Speaker of the House, right? So by the time we're done, his aide come out and he said, "Sir Elton wants to meet you." Because I'm not talking to him. I'm doing my job. I don't have time to talk to you, man. I'm not taking a picture with you, or they want to take a picture with me, right? So I'm like, okay. So I go into the green room and he's super awesome, but he tries to hire me to run his security detail.
What?
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't. I'm doing this. I got a thing. I'm a federal agent, man. I can't do it. I'm like, I could see myself as behind stage wearing the pink feather boa, going, "Tiny dancer to all units." Yeah, tiny dancer to all units. Rocket Man has left the building. Tiny dancer to all units. But he's super awesome. He got tickets to my family and friends to behind the stage and a meet and greet when he was actually in the Greenville concert. And my friends at that Greenville concert went and they behind the stage. He's super awesome, great, super generous guy. But you're around the best of the best of the best, and you learn. How do they think? How do they process information? How do they observe? What's their viewpoint? What's their mindset? And I wasn't wasting my time.
That's really great, man. That's such a cool story about Elton John. And man, that's just to be in the room and just be able to experience how these conversations are going down and see people and just be one. That's just fantastic. So let's talk about some things you learned. First of all, before we get into the inner armor or resilience and that discussion, who was somebody that you ran across in your work in Washington that you respected how they approached things? I mean, you made comments about different people, but like, was there anybody that just really jumped out? You were like, that man or woman, man, when I was around them, I paid extra close attention because they were just so awesome.
Well, I'll tell you, Joe Lieberman, he's the same. He was the only guy that was the same, whether it was just me and him in the room or we're in front of a press conference. He's the same everywhere.
Wow.
There's no shtick.
Wow.
He was like family to me. Actually, the first day I was with him, he's an Orthodox Jew, right? So they don't drive the car to synagogue on Sabbath. They don't turn on the lights. I'm like, guys, you're like part-time Amish. Like, cars during the weekend, Sabbath, on Friday night. So anyway, it's Yom Kippur, it's Day of Atonement. And of course, I'm the new agent. And remember, this is back 9/11 just happened. He was the vice presidential candidate. If you remember the Al Gore thing and the Bush, the hanging Chad.
Right, yeah.
So he's like a rock star still. He's still a rock. He's got a detail. And so we need, he's going to synagogue, he lives in Georgetown. So it's 3 miles from his house. You're going to have to walk, right? And the car will trail in case there's,
goodness.
There's an incident. We'll throw him in the Suburban, but somebody has to walk with him. And you're the new guy. I'm like, okay, I don't care. I'll walk 3 miles. So so he's going to start telling me about Day of Atonement, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, Senator, that's what we believe what Jesus did. He was Son of God, Son of Man, scapegoat and a sacrificial goat, and hypostatic union was split, and the scapegoat went up to heaven and put the blood on the knee. And he's like, what? And I'm like, so I go through the whole thing, and we get to the synagogue, and he's like, hey, Rabbi, this is Andrew. He knows the Torah better than you. I'm like, don't tell him that. So then, Now,
that's hilarious that you're walking with the vice presidential candidate who's Jewish, telling him about the nuances of Christianity and Judaism.
Yeah, crazy.
It's hilarious.
Then I'm asking the question. This is where he's like, you got to talk to the rabbi, because I'm like, all right, Senator, so here's my question is like, so Day of Atonement, how are you atoning for your sins? Because there's no blood sacrifice. You had to put the blood once a year. Aaron had to take it. High priest had to take it in and put it on the mercy seat. You're not doing that. We believe Jesus did that once for all for us. Oh, how are you atoning? A fast and some prayers. Does that get it done? I'm just curious. He's like, you got to talk to the rabbi about that. So that was and then for the next year, I was with him as his lead advance. We'd always go to whatever synagogue we were in. The rabbinical students would come over and they'd want to debate, right? They want to talk to Andrew. Now, I could preach them the gospel, but only out of the Old Testament. You can't use the New Testament because they don't, right? So I'm hanging out in Isaiah, like I call Isaiah the gospel of the Old Testament, right? So but I learned more. I'm telling you, I learned more from them about the covenant and about, I don't know how we got into this, but like the word blessing means culturally, it means kneeling down and giving someone a gift when you bless somebody. Kneeling down like you're giving a 5-year-old a piece of candy, which I was like, that's great. But they're like, but culturally, Andrew, in our culture, it means somebody who has consistently lucky success. So if someone looks at you and they say, you're blessed, it means because we recognize that you have consistently lucky success. Like, how could that happen? Like, Joseph had consistently lucky success as soon as he got up. Right? Yeah. Daniel, Shadrach, consistently. I'm like, wow, that's just blowing me. Yeah. And then we got into words like what shalom means and all that. So I learned a ton of the Hebrew stuff from them. But it's like you said, I'm not wasting my time or the opportunity that's in front of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's just really cool to hear you notice the consistency of an individual. Like you said, there's that he was somebody that you noticed was the same on camera, off camera, at press conference, off at home. I think that's just really important. I think that's really cool that you were able to take
Yeah.
that and just see him in that capacity, because obviously in Washington, that's not.
No, he's the
I would
only one I
that's not
follow.
the norm.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm not even like that. Like, when I'm doing I put my radio voice on when I'm like, "Yeah, welcome to the Get Word Tough Show," you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not like that. So it's an amazing thing, and he was an amazing individual, and he told me, he said, "Andrew, I think that we're both looking for the same guy. You're looking for him to come back the second time. We're looking for him to come back the first time. It's the same guy, though." And I'm almost there. He said, you almost got me to across the finish line on it." So,
Wow.
and that was back in 2001.
Wow.
Yeah. And the last time I did talk to him, I had an email exchange with him in 2018 after I saw when the embassy went into Jerusalem. He was there with BB because he's the one that introduced me to BB. It's another story, right? He said, "BB, this is Andrew.
Yeah.
Israel has no greater friend." And then I saw he was there, and so I emailed him. "I saw you at the embassy." He's like, "Yeah, it was a great day," because he's a covenant guy. He's all about I learned so much
Right.
about the covenant from him and the Orthodox Jews. It's just amazing.
So that's how you got connected with Netanyahu, who you also did some
Yeah, well,
work
so that's
with.
another story, right? That's another one of those. Well, I'm guarding the back stairwell. I was on Lieberman's detail, and after 9/11, I was gone all the time. Even if we were in DC, I'm like getting home after midnight, leaving before 4 in the morning. I'm living on ephedrine, caffeine, and aspirin stacks. Remember the ECA? It's outlawed now, but I would take 2 of them, drink a gallon of stuff, and then
Oh
I'm going to
my
Starbucks
gosh.
for a quad espresso just to get through the day. There was days where you work, just incredible days, right? So anyway, my son Drew, he was 4 years old at the time. He came one day, I was there, and he's like, "Daddy, how come you don't live with us anymore?"
Oh, man.
And I was like, "Maybe I do." And then I thought about it from his perspective. I don't. Even when I'm not traveling, he's in bed.
Yeah,
full
I'm
time.
seeing it.
Yeah, not seeing me at all. So I went to him. I said, "Could you guys just give me like 4 to 6 weeks in uniform, day work? Just come off the road. I know it's putting you in a jam, but it's a hardship for my family. Could you?" And they're like, "Yeah, we'll do it." So Lieberman was gracious enough to make it happen. Right? He encouraged my superiors to make it happen. So anyway, so I'm on day work, and of course, the superiors are not happy with me because, look, it's just a thing, right? That it's jealousy is really what it is. So why do you have these people paying like I'm working the system? I wasn't working the system. It's just favor. But anyway, certain people, sergeants, whatever. So Netanyahu's coming up on the hill. And of course, Lieberman is the sponsor, and he's got his Shin Bet with him and Mossad.
Yeah.
And anyway, so they got me on this back stairwell. It's not even near where he's coming. I'm just guarding the stairwell, right? So, and I'm minding my sector, man. I'm not looking around. But I can hear him down the end of the hall. And it's the TV lights, and it's a circus, right? So all the cameras, and they're all, and everybody's shouting questions, and they're supposed to go in one direction, and I hear them make the turn. They all turn, and they're heading towards me. I can hear them getting closer and closer and closer. And I'm like, that's not the route. And here it is. We walk up, and I feel his hand on my shoulder, and I turn around, and it's Senator Lieberman. And he's like, "Andrew, I want you to meet Bibi. Bibi, this is Andrew. Israel has no greater friend." And so we're talking, and Bibi's like, "Why don't you come with us the rest of the day? Why aren't you with us?" I'm like, "Well, I got to hold down this stairwell." Right?
I've got important work to do here.
Yeah.
There's the stairwell. Can't you see?
Right. So like one of the assistant chiefs is there because all the bigwigs are there. He looks at it, so Senator looks at him and says, "Can you get someone to hold this post down for Andrew?" "Oh, of course, Senator." Which makes him hate me even more. But so the chief has to stand there and hold the post until they get someone else to relieve the chief. And I'm off, and we go and we have lunch, and we spend the day with BB. So that was another crazy. See, it's just, that's the thing though, is like, how do you present yourself? Are you there? I was there to learn, right? I'm not just, I'm going to do my job, but I'm going to be a sponge and learn from it. And then people, they look at that, man. I saw a video with President Obama. If you're a young person, he said, just do the job great, whatever it is. Don't look for more pay. Whatever your thing is, just do it really, really great. People are going to take notice. And that's the best advice like I could give anybody that I heard also from him. Is I love hearing it from him because it's true. Any high performer knows they look for somebody else that just does, like, get the lunch order right. Yes, you may be getting lunch every day for the rest of your life because you got the lunch order right, but get it right. And then maybe we'll add dinner.
That's the last 10% right there.
Yeah.
You captured a really great idea of why we're doing what we do on the show, because there's a value of excellence, and that, you can be pretty good. You can get to that first 90%. It takes a lot of work, but you can get there.
Yeah.
But to live in that last 10%, man, takes a lot of effort and intentionality. So I think that's a great transition. Let's talk a little bit about how we can better ourselves and be more resilient. You have a lot of discussions on this, and you do a lot of training on this. So what is something that you call it almost like a field manual? Your book's like a field manual for mental operating system.
It is.
What's something like a practical drill or some nugget that you would like to to share with the listeners today
Yeah,
about that?
here's something you could use right away. So I call it suspending your disbelief. It's my 2-minute rule, right?
Mm.
Ask you, can you suspend your disbelief for just 2 minutes? And people look at me like, what? I'm like, well, look, have you ever seen a movie that you like, Dallas?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah,
So congratulations, you suspended your disbelief for an hour and a half at least. Because you know it's not real, right? Even the ones based on a true story or Hollywood or not, that ain't real. You know
That's
that,
right. That's right.
So in order
That's
to have a
right.
good time, you suspend your disbelief. I'm not asking you to do anything you don't do already.
Mm.
But when you
So
hear,
let's give a practical example. So like the movie, I like the movie, but let's land the plane. And I'm at work, I'm doing my
Right.
job.
How
How
does
does
it
that
work?
play out if
Right.
I'm leading a team?
it
Yeah.
leads a team, you're going to hear the voice of resistance in your head. That won't work. That's impossible.
Mm.
That's crazy
Mm.
talk. You can't do that because you all hear it. And it might be even when you're leading the team. And it's great as a leader when my team says we can't do it, or I call them the Americans. We're going to tell you all the things we can't do, not the Americans, all the things we can. I'm going to be like, no, I get it. I'm not arguing. This is impossible. I'm asking the impossible. I'm not arguing that. But if it were possible, all I'm asking you to do for 2 minutes, just play along with me, suspend your disbelief. If it were possible, how do you guys think we would do it?
Wow. I love that. It just opens up
Yeah.
all kind of possibilities.
Right,
So it
'cause the
just
brain-
kind of
You give
cleans out the,
You give them the brain
Yeah,
permission to
cleans
go
out the
find
clutter.
the answer. And it could be crazy. We're just brainstorming. What do we call it? Storming, right? I don't care if it's crazy
Yeah.
talk. Just say what it is. And I'm telling you, without that, when you ask that question, you give the human brain permission to find the answer and bypasses the voice of resistance. You'll have 15 solutions within like 3 minutes. If you're having a team, everyone will come up with something, and then you could start putting them together and winning them down.
I love that idea because it is so true that there's always something that you get stuck on or you get hung up on. We have these worries or anxieties, and I think that it's natural, a natural tendency for people to the pendulum to swing too far to what you said, the I can't, or that's just not going to work. And I do think it's so funny. You just have to give yourself permission to suspend that unbelief. I think, and we talk about that in terms of as a leader, it's important that we battle for people's beliefs. Like if I'm leading a team, I'm constantly doing things to try to shape that belief, to try to guide that belief, because that belief is going to drive action. And so I think that's a fantastic tool. One of the ways you can battle for belief is just to suspend the unbelief.
Yeah,
So,
right.
very cool.
That really is a belief that we can't do it. It's actually a belief. So what I'm doing is just backdooring it. If you say we can't do it, or that's impossible, or it's hard. Okay, it's hard. So what? And Ed,
That's cool.
yeah, you know what I mean.
And,
that's
keep going.
so that's one thing you could do like immediately. The 2-minute rule. It'll revolutionize how every problem, because as soon as you hear the voice of resistance, no matter what it is, whether it's I can't lose weight, or I can't get up early. Oh, I got to get up at 4 a.m. I got to set 14 alarms. You know. No, I agree. You do. But if you could just get out of bed and be energized, how would you do it?
That's right. That's right. How would you do it? And then it forces you to create a new pathway, a new neural pathway. We got to break something out. So we're going to do something different. Man, how about that? So when you're thinking about this resiliency, how much, because you have a PhD, this kind of this blend of like, the soul and the mind kind of thing, this theological psychology. I've never heard of that degree. Curious,
it's not really the degree's theological studies, but my master's in divinity was all psychology, because when you do your MDiv, it's all counseling, right? It's massive psychology. So I blended, and then my PhD it's theology, right? But theology is the study of God. Psychology is the study of the soul. It's very interconnected, right? But how do we bridge the gap? Well, the thing the one piece is missionary is like not your spirit, not your soul, but your body, bios, right? So I'll just give you a quick theology. In the Greek New Testament, there's 3 words for life. In the English Bible, it all says life. One is bios, which is biology, natural life, right? One is psyche, which is your soul, psychology. That's where we get the word. And then zoe, which is the eternal life, perpetual life, the life that God has. It's the one you get born again, then your spirit's alive unto God. Now you're a 3-part being like God was. God made Adam, and then when he died, his spirit died here too. Right. So here's the 3 parts we all know. It's spirit, soul, and body. Right. But the thing is, and Jesus said this, he said, look, the spirit is willing to be in charge, but the flesh is what? Weak.
Yeah. Weak. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the body is the easiest part of us to dominate. So that's what I had to do in the Marine Corps. I had to dominate my body first before I could get my mind and emotions on board. That's the soul is your mind, will, and emotions. So if you can't dominate your body, you think you're going to dominate your angry outbursts, or if you can't do the easy one, you're not going to do the hard one. So that's where this whole blend came together. And it's really been my obsession, right? That's why if you ever see like a speaker or a coach, our obsession is the thing that we have the most problems with. That's what our content is. Right. So that's all I'm doing. It's for me, right? I'm doing all this for me to overcome this stuff. And if it helps somebody else, great. And that's what I wanted.
I think that's so true though. And you do hear that with anytime I write a book, it's always something that I'm trying to wrestle through. And I'm like, I need to do this. And it's, yes, I can put a book out, but it's really, I need this for me. Right. It's so true. Because I feel like when you engage in the struggle around anything, you find more truth in the struggle and in that perseverance and that endurance through it. It's truth that becomes real. It's that you literally, that struggle and that suffering shapes who you are, and it builds that truth into you instead of it being like in your head. Right. It's deep. It's in me. It is who I am now because I've gone through this crucible. I think that's so true. Right. You talk a little bit about motivation, and I think this is a good spot for it because you talked about how your team needs this tactical emotional armor and instead of motivation. And you've talked about really training yourself and your body. What's the difference between kind of relying on this motivation to whatever, get up in the morning and whatever, or building a system for resilience that like teams can depend on?
Yeah. So this, we all are humans, are creatures of habit. We all know that. And people will say, I would do it on the podium. I'll ask people, I do a 2-day training. I'm like, how long does it take to make a habit? And they're like, 21 days or whatever. I'm like, nope, it takes one time. As soon as you're comfortable with something, you're going to, I said, where's everybody going to sit tomorrow when they come in for training tomorrow? You're going to sit in the same seat that you were, right? And don't let somebody be in your parking spot at work, even though your name isn't on it. Why are they parking in my spot? Or they're at the lunch table, that's my spot, right? So a habit is as soon as we become comfortable with something, now it becomes our habit. The way the brain works, we take in 11 million bits of information per second, but only 126 bits goes to our conscious mind for action, right? So how do we pick the 126? Is the filter of our beliefs and our attitudes. But what I'm interested in is that 99% of the space of the brain that's not conscious, we are on autopilot. Your brain is making, your heart is pumping, you're breathing. It's all outside your consciousness because you have these habits that you set and you're on autopilot. So what I want to do is set these systems in place so that by habit, like I work out every day because that's what I did in the Marine Corps, right? And that's what we do. I don't even know what to do to not do it. And on day of rest, it's like impossible. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I have to do something because you have a habit. Your body's like, that's not what we do. I have a puppy, right? And puppies are like the same thing. He knows what the routine is. If I get a treat every time you clean my ears, then as soon as you clean my ears, would you clean my ears? Because I know I'm going to get a treat.
Right.
So that's what I'm. That's right. It's not motivation. He's operating on the system. And that's what I want to do with my teams is hey, look, you guys get a treat every time we clean your ears. Cool. Can I clean my ears? Because I want to get the treat, right? So I'm not motivating you like, we got to get this done. And I'm not giving the Mel Gibson speech and Braveheart to get you to go into battle. And I mean, there might be a time and a place for that, but that's not an everyday thing, right? I don't want to rely on that.
I love that 100% because it reminds me of Duhigg's book on habits. And then there's Atomic Habits that everybody's read by James Clear. The process essentially is there's some type of a trigger, like you have this conference and you're going to the conference room, you got to find a place to sit. That's the trigger. And then there's the act of sitting in the seat. And then the reason is there's a reward. And the reward is that you don't have to worry about where you're going to sit. If you sit in that place, there's comfort, right? There's comfort. And so what you're saying is that like with your dog, your puppy's ears, if you let me clean your ears, there's the trigger. Hey, you've got dirty ears. I'm coming to clean it. And then the actual cleaning and then the reward, which is the treat. So we're very engaged in that process, even though we are not thinking about it. We're moving towards things that make our life better.
Yes,
at least we perceive, or at least more comfortable.
More comfortable. That's the word.
More comfortable. Yeah, more comfortable. And so I think to your point is when we can build systems with our teams that make resilience part of the reward, I think that's really meaningful and impactful. Right. It's like the working out thing. Like if I wasn't in the military and I didn't have a habit of working out, what are the systems that I can put in place to allow me to work out where there is something at the end where it's either the endorphin release, or if it's, I give myself my favorite smoothie at the end, or I allow myself to watch an extra half an hour of Netflix if I do my workout, whatever that is, right? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yes, always reward good behavior. This is how when I raise my kids. And a lot of times we don't reward good behavior. We just yell at the bad behavior, or we punish bad behavior, or correct. I don't care about the bad behavior. If I reward enough good behavior, like I'm not even going to acknowledge if the team is being, because here's what we know in psychology. Here's my psychology, right? point something out. Don't think of a pink elephant. What did you just do?
Yeah.
Like,
You're
I'm not going to be like,
yeah.
hey, man, it's hot in here. Like, I'd be on the stage
Yeah.
and it's 1,000,000 degrees out. I'm sweating. I'm not going to be like, is it hot in here? Because now I've just drawn everybody's attention to it. I'm not even going to talk about it. So it's the same thing with the team. Oh, you guys are all dismotivated. Nobody has good communication. Why are you're just running us down the wrong path, man?
Sure.
The neurons that fire together wire together. You're wiring us down the wrong path, right? So I'm going to always reward good behavior. So I want that neuron to fire, that group of neurons to fire together again, so that every time we go down this path, I know it's good and eventually you don't even need the reward because now that's what we do. It's my circuit.
That's who we are.
Yeah.
It's my identity at that point. Yeah.
That's the problem.
I feel strange if I don't do it. Yeah.
Correct.
I love that. I like not pointing out, like if you're speaking in a room that's really hot, like just it's a non-issue that because you're not drawing attention to it. I had another trick. This was because you're Clemson. You've worked with the Clemson team during their glory days when they were winning the Natties. So which is amazing. You're everywhere. Like you're everywhere, man. You're all over the world, and even in college football. Like
I love college football. I love that. That was so much fun. I had a show on the Roar too on 105.5. I was
look at that.
I used to be on Out of Bounds. Like Quack used to bring me on when it was Quack and Dutch, and then I stole Dutch, and then we did the Get Weird Tough show. It was Andrew and Dutch. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I probably heard you on the radio then. But to your point, like one of the things I heard I guess it was their strength coach say one time. I heard him talking at a luncheon or whatever event, and he said, "We tell our guys that if you come here and you're coming into this training in the summer, like we don't say that it's hot or it's cold, whatever. We don't say it's hard. We say we like it when it's hot." We like it. We like it when it's absolutely 100 degrees and you're sweating. That's what we are thriving on. That's where we're going.
Love it.
And what I found, I know, I was just sitting there, and it just, I know everybody else is like enjoying their salad. I'm sitting there just like blown away because I'm like, this guy's just dropped something because he has just figured out a way to tell someone that the reward is actually the thing that they hate. Like maybe you hate getting up early, or maybe you hate going out and sweating all day. And he just took that and flipped it on its head and said, no,
I love that.
That is what we love it. We love it when it's this way. And I was like, oh,
dude.
Man, that's a mental circus that I want to be a part of that.
Plus, you have to do. You just have to force yourself to change your self-talk. So that's what I was a fat kid. I went to boot camp. I hated running more than anything else in the world except more running. What do you do in boot camp? You run. So instead of saying running was my enemy, I had to make running my friend. And then I was like, I love running. And then I'm like, I'm an ultra marathoner. You're like, dude, you're fat. You can't even run a quarter mile. I'm an ultra marathoner. I'm saying where I want to go. I'm telling you what my target is, not what my target isn't. And your self-talk, what that guy said, the straight train is he's changing your target by changing your mouth, because there is a mind-mouth connection. And I can override my mind with my mouth. You want to do an experiment, see if I'm right? It'd be fun.
Let's do it.
Okay,
Let's do it.
Now, in your mind, I want you to start counting backwards from 1,000. Just in your mind. 999.
Okay.
998. Are you got the count going? Now, out loud, I want you to say your name. Say your name. Say it.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas Burnett. Yeah.
What happened to the count?
It's gone.
It stopped. I don't know where you were or you weren't, but it stopped. You stopped that thought process. So that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to force myself to say things that stop that circuit that is putting me in the wrong direction.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No.
That's why I love it
sense.
hot out. Of course I love the heat, but that's freezing. I love it when it's cold out.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I'm going to...
you can't think you don't like it when you're saying you do.
Right.
You just can't hold those two thoughts at the same time.
Absolutely. So I'm tricking myself
that's
with
really good.
I'm tricking myself with my mouth, right? So that's the science behind why we do these quote affirmations or whatever. But I don't want to cheese. I want things that actually help me in real time. I'm like, you're so. What is up from Saturday Night Live? You're special. You're sweet. You're like, you remember the John Lovitz?
Oh,
yes. On my age, but anyway. Yeah, it's not just like I love me. I'm like, hey man, I love that. So my daughter Michaela, right? She was in first grade or whatever, and of course in South Carolina, girls don't do math. They become sorority girls, man. You don't do math? What are you, crazy? You become a wife and stuff. Right?
No, that's so good.
True, right? So she came home and said, I can't do math. Math's hard. I'm like, nope. I love math. Math's the easiest thing in the world. I love math. I love science. So we changed her. So she's starting her senior year down here in Florida Tech as a biomedical engineer, but her freshman year, she didn't even know, but the professor, right? They put her in research. They got her in an undergraduate research program as a freshman because she tested on the chemistry, the chemistry standardized test for freshmen, right? She was like the top 3 in the entire state. And she didn't even know it, right? But because English is not her bag. Like she's hilarious, but she speaks math and science. That's her first language.
She speaks math. That's her language.
Yeah, science and math, right? Because we changed what she thought about it from first grade. It's really It's our fault because I could have just agreed with her and been like, yeah, baby, math's hard. Because I don't do math. Man, my degree's in theology. I couldn't write, if it's not a textbook, I don't know. What do I know? It's hard. That's why I went to theology.
That's so true. Think that's such a great visual, because think about this. You're not necessarily a math guy, but you're not allowing her to not have that as an opportunity in first grade. You're shaping. And again, it goes back, we were talking about earlier, battling for belief. You're taking someone, it's not even your area of expertise. If you're leading a team and you've got somebody over here and you're not even in their same level of expertise, but you're leading that team, it's not saying that you can't step in the gap and battle for that belief and say, no, this is who we are. This is what we're doing. This is what you're about. This is what you're capable of doing. And just relentlessly shaping that belief. Because it just like what happened to your daughter, she grows up, she speaks math and science. That's what she does.
I don't know. She
and
it's like
you
what are you talking about? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, my kids are laughing because I made them all go. They're all engineers. One's mechanical, one's construction, one's biomedical. I can't turn a screwdriver.
Wow.
Dude. They're all laughing because I can't. Don't get that in the little. Listen, I hold the light for my kids when they're fixing the car. Dad, get over here and hold the light.
Good. That's so good. But it just goes to show how coaching and development, how powerful that is. And it's not even that you had to be this math and science professor to coach your kids in the direction of that belief. We're not saying that you have to be the expert. We're saying that you have to be the expert in shaping belief. That's what you're.
I'm stealing that tagline, but that's it. Well, that's all we're trying to do. I'm serious, and I don't even care what your belief is. That's all I do is teach you how beliefs are made and how to vet them, and then ask yourself, is this belief helping me or hurting me? But that's it. If you know how to shape your beliefs, you can literally write your own ticket on the entire planet.
Yeah, and you talk about thought audits, as kind of your daily or armor routine. Is that in that same vein of shaping those beliefs?
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about.
So that's the corporate term, thought audit. I call it honest assessment. So I'm going to ask myself, because the human brain is like the original search engine. It has to answer a question. Now, the answer doesn't have to come out of your mouth, but your mind will search for the answer. So I'm always going to ask, and if you ask and you shall receive. Ask a bad question, what kind of answer you're going to get is a bad answer, right? I want to ask a good question. I want to ask a better question. Sure. So like a really great question is, once I set my target, what the first thing I ask myself is, what am I trying to accomplish today? What am I trying to accomplish? Like even doing the show with you, what am I trying to accomplish in this email? That's the first thing I want to do is set my target. What is it that I'm trying to accomplish? I'm trying to do 3 things on this show. I want it to be a win for you. I want it to be a win for your audience, and I want it to be a win for me. So we all have a great time. Sure. We all learn something. I've already learned, like, what you battle for your beliefs. I'm just going to steal that. I'll give you credit the first 3 times. After that, I'm like my friend Dallas always says. Then I'll be like Dallas, and then I'll be like Andrew. I always say.
It's yours. You can take that. I love it. That's so good.
I'm asking these questions, right? How is this? Once I set my target, what am I trying to accomplish? Not what I don't want, but what I do want. Then I ask myself, whatever's next, is this helping me or hurting me hit my target? Is the action I'm taking, is the word I'm about to say, is the thought I'm having right now, is that helping me get closer to my target or hurting me? Like we have self-doubt thoughts all the time. And I say this all the time, right? You cannot keep birds from flying over your head. But how many of you let them make a nest in your hair?
Right.
Right. So yes, negative.
That's a great analogy. I love that.
Negative thoughts are coming, but man, if you a bird, like have a negative thought, you'd be like, yeah, you act like it's the unwanted house guest from Saturday Night Live. They moved in, living in a van down by the river. Right. But no, if a bird landed on your head, you're going to start freaking out. I mean, and get it off. Right. We should be doing that with our 100%. Negative thoughts. So that's my thought audit. I'm not going to let any birds make nests in my hair that doesn't help me get to my target. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. My daughters were at camp a couple weeks ago, and they were they had a performance coach come in. It was a tennis camp. And so they had a performance coach come in, and they were talking about it. It was from another sport, but the performance coach made a comment, said, don't judge your thoughts. Don't say, well, I'm like, in terms of like hitting, I've made a bad shot, or I've done it. Said, but just judge whether what you're thinking is productive or unproductive. And I was like, that is so good. It's exactly what you're saying.
Write that down.
Write that down. We'll both take that one.
I don't know. Some guy from some camp. Like we always say, me and Dallas came up with it on the show. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. So but I just thought about that. It's just what you're saying is that you can't control these these birds is flying over. But if you can say what's productive and what's not, then it allows you to just not let them, the ones that are unproductive, to make nests in your hair.
So that's what I'm going to do. Really good. Every thought, I'm going to run it off. Like I have an ID state. It's like I have a border, right? A border checkpoint. And I'm going to ID the thought. In all my books, I have this, what I call the good list or the evil list, right? The red flag or green flag list, all good thoughts and all bad thoughts. If it's on I check it. What's your ID? Let me see. Oh, you're on the deportation list. So you're out, man. You're not coming in. I'm sorry. You're an illegal. You can't come in here. I'm going to deport you. But you can't come in. People don't do that with their thoughts. They let, bad thoughts in, and then they set up shop, right? So that's what I want to ID and I'm going to handcuff them and take them outside and nope, you're deported. You can't come in here. And you do it in conversations all the time. I talk about this when my parents, they would give me their organ recital as they got old. My pancreas is going, my heart's bad, my kidneys are failing, right? My eyes are getting dark, right? The organ recital. I'm like, that's nothing but the bad list. How is that helping you, right? So I talk about, you tell me something good that's going on in your life, or I'm not going to talk to you. For 30 days, I'm not going to talk to you. You guys think about what's good in your life, because it was just constant. What your brothers and sisters did, this is bad. The neighbors, that's what we do, right? So we're on this evil list, I call it. This goes by. I don't answer their calls. So then I called and my dad answered and I said, "Hey, what's up, Pops?" He said, "Did you know that Tuesday bananas are on discount special at Kroger because it's school day?" And we got some outstanding bananas. And I was like, now we're talking.
I love that. That's so good. Bananas are on sale on Tuesdays.
Yeah, like that's all you got, and give me that. That's all you can come up with.
I'll take it.
I was like, all right, that was my signal that he got the message. We're doing it. Right. So then after that, all of our conversations were great. Everything was good. I got new flowers for the porch. It was sun shining out. It was all the good, because they're in retirement. They're telling me all the good things that are happening. Right. Then my brothers and sisters would be like, "Hey, do you know what's going on about them?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just talked to them. They're doing great." No. And then they would try to, I'm like, so they're still giving their organ recital to everybody else, but they wouldn't to me, right? Right. Well, that's what I'm, as an elite thinker, elite warrior, right? As this inner armor, I'm going to push my airspace out. It's not, listen, if you have permission to tell me all the garbage that's going on in your life, I believe that. I'm not going to argue with you, but it gives me permission to tell you all the good that's happening in my life, because misery loves company. If I'm not going to be miserable, you're not going to want to hang around me.
I think that's true too for leaders. If you're leading a team, I think a lot of times when you assume leadership positions or you create a new team, you've been put in this place, you promoted, there's this Eeyore character that could be on your team, lurking on your team. And you feel the negative vibes, and it's just that person that always is just complaining. The glass is, half empty, and it's just everything's not good enough. And I think, to your point, what you did with your parents is so important for leaders. And ultimately, as a leader, you're working to coach and develop that person out of that habit,
right,
or out of your team, right?
One or the other.
I don't want that to be around. But I think one of the ways you can do that is not accepting that to you. So they know that if they're going to say that, they either keep it to themselves, but they're definitely not going to say it to you as leader, because it's not acceptable. And it's just like when you said, parents, look, I'm not going to take you for 30 days until you tell me something good. And then it was just like, after that, they might say it to other people, but they're not saying it to you.
Right.
And I think it's really powerful as a leader when you're engaging with your teams. You can bring that same level of clarity and expectations, because what you're doing is you're raising the level of the expectations that you have on your team, especially the person that's got that bad attitude. You're saying, look, your expectation is everything's falling apart. My expectation is you've got to do better. You can't talk like this. You've got to share. And so I love that.
No, that's
really
so
great.
Good, man. And let me just throw this out. When you're saying that, a thought popped in my head that silence is consent. Like, you cannot let them say it and say nothing. And this is what a lot of leaders do. I don't want the confrontation. Look, the confrontation is not conflict, but it will turn into conflict if you don't confront that attitude, right? So I'm not going to just ignore it, because if you ignore it long enough, it will turn into a blow up conflict. So I don't want to be silent. Every time you got to be consistent with it. If you're saying something on that red flag list or the evil list, I'm going to tell you something good. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going to tell you I'm going to point out the good thing.
And again, it's hard when you're catching people. You made a comment of not just berating people when things go wrong, and it's ultimately catching people doing the right thing and rewarding that.
Correct.
And it just all goes together, right? If you're catching people doing the right thing and you're rewarding the right behaviors, then it just it's not congruent. with someone that only sees the bad and only sees and so I just think that the consistency though is the key in that.
Yep.
And that is the messaging. Again, we're battling for the beliefs, and we always talk about on the show, it's like Ford truck doesn't tell boys when they're 16 that they need to buy a Ford truck and then never talk to them again the rest of their right. They're just a barrage, every sports show, every radio broadcast, and so you need a Ford, you need a Ford, and so at the end of the day, we've got to be the same way as leaders. We're going to catch people doing right. We're going to raise the standard, and we're not going to accept this negativity that people bring in. So,
Dude,
man,
good,
I love it, dude. This has been a great conversation. So if you were to give people one piece of advice for living in the last 10% to up their game in their personal life, in their leadership, and leading teams or their organization, if we wanted to leave with one thing here, what would be your advice to our listeners?
It's just a quick thing called ride hard, shoot straight, and never lie. Ride hard, shoot straight. So I got that from my leadership mentor, Lieutenant Colonel John Falchetti. He was my commanding officer in Desert Storm. And then when he changed the command, he took over Weapons Company 36. That was his speech. He got up there, he's like, gents, ride hard, shoot straight, never lie. And we're like, we love this guy. It's short. Like, took it in his blood. But it took me years to like really unpack that. But ride hard. I'm a man of excellence. I'm gonna give my best effort at everything I do. Right. That's the test. 10%. Yeah. If it's easy, look, man, if you're not giving your best, and I always ask this, can you think of a time when you gave your best effort? What's that look like? Like for my wife, it was like when she was giving birth to our kids without any epidurals or drugs. That was her best. Like, right? For me, it was like a rookie on the street where the first time a bad guy tried to take my gun from me and kill me with it. And we're fighting. That's my best effort, right? So if you don't have a best effort story, how do you know if you're riding hard or not? So the next thing,
how do you know?
You don't know.
That's
You're
a great
I'm
question.
doing my best effort. What is your best effort? And the next thing is shoot straight. That's about being skillful, right? I'm going to hit the target. I want to hit the target that I'm going for. I have to identify the target, and I have to make sure that my skills in hitting the target are up, right? So that means for us in the professional world, you got to read an hour a night. And if you read an hour every night, people are like, an hour? Yeah, stop watching Netflix or something for a minute. Read before you go to bed something in your field. In 5 years, imagine what kind of expert you're going to be.
Oh, unbelievable.
So shoot straight. And then the last thing is never lie. It's pretty easy, man. But not just don't lie to others. I mean, yeah, that's great. Don't lie to yourself, man. That's the thought audit. That's the honest assessment. I'm not going to lie to myself. I'm going to be brutally honest with myself.
Yeah, I love that. Man, that's all right. So I'm just recapping some of the great ideas that you shared with the listeners today. Suspend disbelief. Oh, man, that was really great. I love catching people doing really, the good stuff and raising that bar of excellence. I love that silence is consent. That is just great. That's just great. And then obviously the question that you just asked, how do you know that you're giving your best effort? Oh, that's that's stepping on some toes right there. That's good stuff.
Sorry,
so,
it is. I am a mental toughness coach. It's not Club Med. It's mental toughness.
Hey, listen, it's we got to have it. Leaders got to have it, and you got to be willing to go for it if you can live in the last 10%. You got to get the toe stepped on every once in a while. That's really good stuff. Yeah, so, all right, how can listeners of the last 10% connect with you, find out more information, and find your book? And
I got a special thing for all your listeners. If you go to getwarriortough.com/podcast. So I got stuff up there just for the listeners of the podcast. Getwarriortough.com/podcast. That's where you guys should go, and you can find me on. I'm on all the social medias under Get Warrior Tough or Warrior Tough PhD. But man, what a great time, Dallas. I mean, dude, where have you been my whole life? I can't believe we're both from Greenville, and we're not. Like, this is the first time. I'm like, what is going on here, dude?
I know we need to do this more often. This is really good. So we always ask when we end the show, we always ask the guest, who is someone you'd like to hear on the last 10%? So who would that be?
I told Nick Saban is because you live in Greenville and Clemson, and Dabo would be an easy get. But you get Nick, man, Nick's retired now. He ain't got nothing to do. He's up talk on TV.
He's got more time. Maybe he's got more time.
But I do love, love the Saban, the process.
Oh, he's great. Yeah. Oh, the process is great. Yeah, I love Saban too. He's obviously a phenomenal coach. I've watched a lot of his YouTube stuff, just nuggets from his career too. Yeah, all right. We'll have to put him on the list. We'll see if we can get him on the last 10%.
How would you do it? Because I know when I said it, you're like, we can't get Saban. All right, how could you? If you could get him,
that's right.
How would you get him?
Disbelief.
Yeah, how would you get him? I have faith in you, Dallas. I know you can get him.
All right, we're gonna put it down. We're gonna suspend disbelief. And I'll send you an email.
I do it. I need to give him somebody that he's going to be like, we can't get that guy on this podcast. I'm like,
man, we're in the show when we started. We got to suspend disbelief.
Dude, it wasn't even an hour and you forgot the question, bro.
All right, I got my challenge.
Yeah.
I got my challenge.
All
That's
right.
for sure. All right, we're gonna suspend this belief. We're gonna get Nick Saban on the show.
That's what I
We're gonna
like
get
to
Nick
hear.
Saban on
Yeah.
less than percent. That's great. Now, Andrew, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, insight with all our listeners. We just appreciate you. We sure
Oh,
appreciate
no,
you.
thank you so much for having me. What a great time. And dude, it's up seriously. I feel more energized being with you. Yeah, I need to be in your space more because I'm serious. I feed off that energy you bring. It's just so good.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's he been my whole life? I need to him in I need pocket Dallas. I can just pull him out of my pocket.
Pocket Dallas. That's right. That's awesome. Thanks again, brother. We'll have you back on the show again soon.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us today on The Last 10%. We hope you found today's content engaging and encouraging. Remember to subscribe to the podcast to hear the latest episodes. And help us out by rating and reviewing us so others will join our community. We release new episodes every other Tuesday. This podcast can be found globally in any podcasting app, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Amazon. Subscribe today. Plus, visit our website, join our email list, and discover resources and info for your business and team at thinkmovethrive.com. Thanks again for listening to The Last 10%.